Enzo Maresca bottled it again. Enzo Maresca bottled it again. Enzo Maresca, why? Why? Chelsea couldn't defeat Qarabag away from home. Chelsea were even lucky. Qarabag would have won the game. Qarabag would have won that game because the statistics said it all. The expected chance of Qarabag getting the winning goal throughout the duration of that encounter was quite higher than that of Chelsea. The expected chance of Qarabag getting the winning goal was 1.63. 1.63 XG, while Chelsea expected XG was 1.26. Enzo Maresca bottled it again. Enzo Maresca is one manager that I am very lucky. Enzo Maresca is the only manager currently right now in the Premier League that is not under pressure. Not at all. Enzo Maresca doesn't see himself as a manager as being under pressure. And the reason is simple. And that is because his employer made it so. This is Enzo Maresca's second season at Chelsea. And Chelsea, as a football club, Todd Boehly and co. are giving Enzo Maresca top 4 finish as a target. While clubs in our rank are targeting winning the Premier League, are targeting winning the Champions League, are targeting winning the FA Cup, Enzo Maresca is given a target of finishing in the top 4. And the more reason he is not under pressure, the more reason he keep putting Chelsea fans under intense pressure. I am so pissed off. I'm angry. Enzo Maresca bottled it. What must Enzo Maresca treat every match as if he's still managing in the Championship? You treat every match as if it's the FA Cup. You treat every match as if it is the Qarabag Cup. This is the Champions League, for crying out loud. It's the league for the champions, and that is why it is called Champions League. Take a look at what Bayern Munich is doing. Take a look at what Vincent Kompany is doing at Bayern Munich. At every given competition, Vincent Kompany filled in his best leg to get result. I went too far. Take a look at what Mikel Arteta currently is doing at Arsenal. The make couple of good signing, yes, Arsenal is one club now currently. In every department, they are very okay. In every department, they have the kind of players they actually desired. Arsenal currently sits second in the Champions League standing, with 12 points, having scored 11 goals and conceded nothing. Arsenal is yet to concede a goal in the UEFA Champions League this season. And here are we. We concede goals for fun. We concede goals as if we don't have defenders playing football. Enzo Maresca bottled this particular game against Qarabag with his rotational principle. Enzo Maresca should learn to create a balance whenever he wants to rotate his team. I was not having any issue with Enzo Maresca rotating, but in the first place, look at the game we are having at the weekend. We are playing Wolverhampton Wanderers, the worst team currently in the Premier League, seated right at the bottom of the EPL standing with 2 points, 0 win this season. And Enzo Maresca wants to make rotation of his team against Qarabag. You show no respect to Qarabag, and that is why those boys actually put up a superb performance to actually shock you. We were lucky to even get a draw out of that particular encounter. How could you have looked at Qarabag this low? How could you? This is a team that traveled all the way to Portugal to defeat Benfica by 3-2 that led to the sacking of Bruno Lange before Jose Mourinho was hired. This is a team that came in front of their own fan to defeat FC Copenhagen. Enzo Maresca, why? Why are you putting us in such an intense pressure? Why? Why are you making things so difficult? When we expected to win a particular match, we don't. Any match we are expected to win, we end up not winning. We were expected to defeat Brentford. We couldn't defeat Brentford. We were expected to defeat Manchester United. We ended up losing to Manchester United. We were expected to defeat Brighton and Hove Albion. We couldn't defeat Brighton and Hove Albion. Enzo Maresca bottled it. Enzo Maresca, why? Enzo Maresca, why? Chelsea had every opportunity to go into the top 8 of the UEFA Champions League standing just to make things easy for us. But Enzo Maresca fucking let that slip. That's uncalled for. Enzo Maresca let that slip. We were lucky to have gone away with a draw. Would have ended up losing that particular game. No wonder when he was asked in his press conference, why is it that you find it so easy to win the big teams and you drop off with smaller teams? Enzo Maresca in his press conference began to give excuses of the details available for that particular game. You said it in your press conference that it's a tough game, that the game against Qarabag is going to be tough. You said it in your press conference that Qarabag is a good team. But what did you end up doing? You messed the game up with your selection. You messed it up. Why on earth will you have Liam Delap and McGew on the bench and you still end up going with Tariq George up front? What is that? The same Tariq George that would have left Chelsea during the summer transfer window. Enzo Maresca, why? I think it's high time Chelsea board begin to put Enzo Maresca on his toe because it's relaxing too much. The games which we feel would have been very easy for us, Enzo Maresca is making it more difficult for us by the day. I will not be surprised if we end up defeating FC Barcelona in our next Champions League because FC Barca is the next club we are meeting in the UEFA Champions League. But where it would have been easy for us to take all 3 points, Enzo Maresca is making things so difficult. Now over to the team. It is now obvious and very clear that Chelsea Football Club, we don't have centre-backs in the club, in the team. We don't have centre-backs. It's very, very obvious now that we don't have centre-backs. Because the performance by Tosin Adarabioyo last night and Jorel Ayew as the centre-back, that was calamity. It was calamity. Tosin Adarabioyo's performance last night was awful. It was very shambolic. For Jorel Ayew, I can understand. He's just 19. He still have a lot to learn. Yes, even though he has had much number of games with the Ajax before coming to Chelsea, and he has actually have that leadership. He has actually played that leadership role as the team captain as Ajax. But he is 19. It is understandable. Tosin Adarabioyo is at his peak, and he put up such irritating and disgusting performance at the centre back. We don't have centre backs in Chelsea, and the earlier the club look at it and swing into action, the better for our team. Jorel Ayew was not at his best last night. He gave away the penalty. Jorel Ayew was not at his best yesterday. The centre-back pairing of Tosin Adarabioyo and Jorel Ayew was a calamity. It wasn't what we expected. Even though Enzo Maresca wanted to rotate. You know, when it comes to the centre-back pairing, we don't have the best of centre-backs currently in the team. With the absence of Benoit Badiashile out injured, and also Levi Colwill also out injured, Desasi have been axed from the team. And we are playing Wolves this weekend, and you are resting George Achampong and Trevor Chalobah, and you went for a midfield pivot of Romeo Lavia and Andre Santos. Who does that? There was no balance in your rotation. There was no balance. There was no balance. Very unfortunate, Romeo Lavia picked up injury in the 8th minute and Moses Caicedo came in. But then, that have actually distorted the tactical approach you went for with the game. That have actually distorted the tactical approach of which you went with for that game. Enzo Maresca, why are you making Chelsea fans look like a laughingstock in the midst of their friends? Why are you making Chelsea fans look like a laughingstock among other fans when we are talking football? That performance last night was embarrassing. It was really embarrassing. Playing Qarabag, we needed the best team. We needed the best selection to get all 3 points. There are several ways to actually manage players, and it is still rotation. You mustn't rotate the entire team Enzo Maresca made 7 changes, 7 from the team that actually defeated Tottenham Hotspur going into this game against Qarabag. And this is a Champions League football, for crying out loud. It is not FA Cup. It is not Qarabag Cup. It is the UEFA Champions League. It is the league for the champion. And as such, your best legs are needed. But Enzo Maresca bottled it with his tactical approach and with his team selection. The players last night, virtually all of them, performed below average. They all performed below average, except for one man. And we have been clamoring for Enzo Maresca to always start this guy in games. But no. I'm talking about Gustavo Willian. Gustavo Willian is a born footballer. Gustavo Willian is a born footballer. We saw how he mesmerized the Qarabag defense line, single-handedly gave us that first goal in the 16th minute. Even though he slipped, he was able to take that strike that went into the net. And that was how Chelsea took the lead. We should have capitalized on that. We should have taken advantage of that lead that Gustavo Willian actually gave us in that particular game. But no, we didn't. Our defense line cost us the game. Our defense line cost us the game. And so Maresca bottled it again. This is not what we expected. This is not what we actually wished for against Qarabag. It was a must-win game for us. It was a must-win game. But Enzo Maresca bottled it. I felt for Romeo Lavia coming into that game, just like what Enzo Maresca said in his press conference, that what Romeo Lavia needs just now is just to stay fit and not to sustain injury again. But unfortunately, the young lad, 8 minutes into the game, got injured, was substituted for Moses Caicedo to actually come on. It's getting very difficult now for Romeo Lavia. The injury worries of Latvia is now a concern. It's now a concern for us. And I think we can no longer take it. We have not actually enjoyed the young lad since he was bought, I think from Southampton. He has been from one injury to another. Garnacho had a decent game, but not what we expected. Jimmy Gittins came up even after a wonderful performance against Wolves in the Qarabag Cup, and also when he came up as a substitute in the game against Tottenham Hotspur, even though he actually missed a sitter in that particular game. We didn't see them against Qarabag. Enzo Maresca bottled it. Games we are expected to win, we ended up not winning them. Then it will be difficult for us this season. If matches that we supposed to pick all 3 points, we ended up pulling a draw or ended up losing it, then it's going to be a very difficult season for us. With the way Enzo Maresca is approaching every game, you rotate every player as if every game to you is Qarabag Cup. That result last night against Qarabag was actually unacceptable. That result was unacceptable. We don't have consistency when it comes to defense line. As a Chelsea fan, I can't even say this is the best pairing Chelsea could have going into the game. But I could tell you that Tosin Adarabioyo and Jorel Atu was not the best combination going into that game against Qarabag, when we have George Achampong and Trevor Chalobah on the bench. Those players could have played against Qarabag and still played in the weekend against Wolverhampton Wanderers. But Enzo Maresca bottled it. For how long are we going to continue like this? For how long? It is what it is. We have to move on from here. But I just have to express how disappointed I am with that selection and the performance from the player. Except for one player. For one player, and that is Gustavo Willian. I put up the man of the match performance and ended up being crowned, ended up winning the award for the player of the match. Big up to Gustavo Willian. And we want to see more of Gustavo being selected to play games. We want to see more of Gustavo Willian. The guy has got everything in him when it comes to creativity. He has got everything in him when it comes to drive the defense line of opposition. Gustavo Willian is capable. Gustavo Willian is capable. You can't keep rotating teams like this. If you take a look at Arsenal currently, they are very efficient. The manager knows he knows his starting defense line, and he actually knows when to bring them up as a substitute if need be. They played in the UEFA Champions League against Qarabag. We saw the selection Mikel Arteta made without Gabriel Magalhaes and William Saliba, Mosquera and Incapi were able to get the job done. Arsenal kept a clean sheet away from home, defeating Qarabag by 3-0. By 3-0. Let me end this video by actually giving praise to the Nigerian superstar, talking about Victor Osimhen, who actually got a hat-trick against Ajax in the UEFA Champions League last night. Currently, Victor Osimhen, the Nigerian superstar, is currently the highest goal scorer in the UEFA Champions League with 6 goals, while Erling Haaland and Kylian Mbappe are behind him with 5 goals. What a striker Victor Osimhen have turned out to be for the Turkish giant, talking about Galatasaray. It was good to see the Nigerian international put up such super performance. Beautiful hat-trick as a striker. Victor Osimhen is currently the best number 9 in his position. Currently the best number 9. That is just who he is. You want to say he has not played against the big boys? What did he do to Liverpool at Istanbul? What has he done to Ajax? Some people will say it's Ajax. Ajax is not just. Ajax is a UEFA Champions League giant. They have won this competition 4 good times. 4. So Galatasaray flying all the way to Netherlands to defeat Ajax was no fluke, with the Super Eagles striker getting an hat-trick. Big ups to Victor Osimhen, and I must say, shout out to the Nigerian superstar. What do you make of Chelsea game last night against Qarabag with that disappointing 2-2 draw? Drop your thoughts down below. Thank you very much for watching, and catch you in my next video. Bye.